What's up, everyone? We are back, and we have the two mods that he decided on, and I'm going to explain to you why we chose the two mods that we decided on for the initial slam. There's a couple reasons. The first one is the two mods that are on the two items are the most desirable. There were other mods that were really desirable, like the tier 1 Elder percent HP, but that's a prefix. So if you have two mods, one prefix, one suffix, and they're both just as desirable, you're going to want to try to put them both in one spot. And why is that? The chances of us putting both of these influences on and winding up with all slots being just something desirable, not even looking into what tier they are. So, you hit like life, just hitting life at any tier. Having that happen on the slam is around a 1 in 1300 chance. So, by taking and putting both of the mods going to wind up in either prefix or suffix, it makes it so that if we, in this case, in the suffixes, if there's something bad in the prefixes and we have an open suffix and there's only like say one bad thing on it, it makes it so that we can then take and do a beastcraft where we have no chance of ruining the item, we only have a chance of improving it, assuming there's an open suffix. There's also another possibility, which is say we have the two tier ones in the bottom, and then we also have another one in the bottom that's good, and we have an open spot in the top. At this point, we can craft suffixes cannot be changed, and then we can use a scouring orb, and it will wipe everything in the prefixes. However, that doesn't work out as well in the prefixes unless you're ready to use regular exalted orb slams, which can be a really, really expensive process. For this belt, the investment he wants to make, that's not really possible. And the reason why is because this process costs multiple exalted orbs for the first part, and then you're going to double EX slam it. And then if you don't have something that you want after the first two exalted slams, you're going to recraft suffixes cannot be removed, and then you're going to scour it and start exalting slamming again. So obviously this is a super expensive process. That's kind of like stuff that you do when you're trying to create like mirror tier items. So that's not something we're going to do, but I'm putting that information out there that is a possibility. The better possibility is if it's in the both mods are in the prefix and we wind up wiping it, then we only have to slam one. And if the two mods that we have are so good that we're willing to go with, kind of anything in one of the mods and then multi-mod it, then we can do that. But the suffix route is really expensive, and why is that? Because if there's three mods in there, obviously if there's two, we can do the same thing. One exalted orb slam, settle for whatever we get after we craft on multiple modifiers, because remember that's a suffix. So if I have three in the bottom, I can't do that. So those are some things to think about. Now we're going to go ahead and be doing it. This is the base we want to keep, and this is the base that we're going to be pulling the Elder stat and putting it onto here, and then everything besides those two stats is going to be a random roll. That's why I was saying we got like a 1 in 1300 chance of everything coming out just as desirable. The way this works, in case you haven't seen previous videos, is you're going to click on the item you want to destroy, and then you're going to click on the item you want to keep. So now what we have is oh my, dude. Dude, you got an extra Elder mod, chaos damage. But that's a rough craft, dude. But it's already worth, um, you might just want to sell this, dude, honestly. It's up to you what you want to do, but you can definitely 100% you can sell this. Obviously it's not, it would be ideal if we had more that we could do with the prefix for finishing this item for yourself. Obviously all three suffixes, there's a couple routes we can go. Obviously the maximum energy shield is not desirable. You can definitely craft on your HP, which is one of the main things that you wanted. You have both of your stats, and you have chaos resistance during flask tier 2. So we have three of the influence mods, which is really good. Like the chances of us hitting 3 influence mods is really low once we move forward. Um, so at this point, your only choice is to craft on one mod and try an Exalted Orb Slam, which could turn out really good, or it could turn out bad. That's kind of your choice. But hitting all three of these things is going to be really hard. Obviously, there's one mod on there that we, don't want. We could also try to annul it, but you only have a 1 in 4 chance of removing the undesirable, and then you're back in a position of double Exalt slamming. You could also see it as a 50-50 chance, because if it removes the tier 2 Elder, then you're in a position where you could multi-mod it, but then you still have the energy shield on it. So this is kind of your choice. This is kind of a I can't just choose, because the items are already really valuable. But obviously you have quite a bit invested just in your orbs, so the question is, do I want to sit on that and try and sell it as it is, or finish it, or do I want to take it as it is and use it? Do I want to hit it with Exalted Orb and see if I get something else good? Because what was our original goal? 4 good stats. And what do we have? We already got 3. And we're going to be able to craft on a 4. So you're going to have HP and 3 good stats with your 2 most desirables. And then you can Exalt Slam it and see what happens. And then you still have a bunch of currency if you want to craft something else. It's not best case scenario, but it's a really good one. It's kind of a tough decision though, because energy shield is useless, but HP and 3 good stats. Annul. The thing is, you have to hit a suffix to be able to craft on multi-mod. So if you hit the top one, you're basically banking on double landing Exalted Orbs, which we can do that smartly. So if you do decide to do double Exalted Orb slams, what you want to do on that is you're going to pick the thing that is least desirable in the set of mods. So you're going to go to path poedb.com, and you're going to look at all the possible mods. So in this case, it's only prefixes. So what is it that we don't want in prefixes? For him, probably the least desirable thing would be mana, because we have max life, mana, energy shield, armor, elemental attack damage with attack skills, flask life rate, flask mana recovery, and reflects melee damage. The Elder mods, we have a bunch of good Elder mods. The thing is we actually have a pretty decent chance of hitting something good on an Exalted Orb Slam, because we have, for the Hunter, there's only 3 mods that we can get. Percentage increased life, percent chance for flasks you use to not consume charges, and gain a flask charge when you deal a critical strike. Any of those would be good. Craft mana and go for the Exalted Orb Slam. That's what I would have done. Whoopsies. I don't know why I did that. So, you don't have to craft the high tier when you're doing this. We're just basically trying to remove one mod to increase the likelihood of us getting something good on the Exalted Orb Slam, because you can't use any more of the new Exalted Orbs. If you could do that, then you would just start with a 1-slot item and just keep on Exalted Orb Slamming on, influence mods, and you could wind up guaranteed to have an all influence mod item. Okay, so here goes Exalted Slam, fingers crossed. Let's hope this percent life. Oh, dude, you got tier 1 flask recovery. I'm gonna say at this point, craft life and keep it, dude. You have 3 tier 1 mods. 3 tier 1 mods. I would divine this and craft life. $50 to $75 Exalted Orbs. My luck has just been too good crafting for other people. I'm gonna wind up getting a shitstorm trying to craft myself. I'm using up all my luck, and then I'm gonna try and craft something, and it's gonna go all bad. You want to keep it, man? I mean, you really can't. I mean, there's no reason that there's no situation where you roll over this. I mean, the low estimated value is 50 exalted orbs. um, you got divine orbs? Let's divine it. Or do you even want to divine it? You're 5 off on the chaos resistance. There's only a 4 range on melee and a 3 range on the total physical. Alright, do that, man. If it doesn't take too long, let me see if I have some divine orbs. I might be able to spot you some divines. I normally don't have them, but maybe no. If I have them, the only ones I have are from my delve project, which I don't want to be pulling those out. I mean, I could just replace them, but we're probably going to wind up using more than 2 to 4. So the reason why divining this is actually a good idea, first of all, we can recraft the max life once we're done divining it. The max energy shield for him is kind of an empty slot, but what is it we have? We have basically a 5-stat item where everything is really desirable on 3 stats. We have the increased melee damage, the physical penetration, both tier 1, and then we have the chaos resistance during any flask. He's going to have up flasks all the time, so that's 25% chaos resistance if we get perfect roll. Okay, so here we go. We'll bring this up. So, ooh. You want to go for better? That was the first try. We're 1 off on Chaos. We got perfect physical pen, 2 off on Elemental, 2 off on flash charges. I mean, that's pretty good. How good do you want to try and get it? And then just recraft the HP is probably what I would say. Perfect on 1 most desirable stat, 1 off on the chaos, 2 off on the melee damage. Want max melee and physical. Okay. $34.15, dude. You're 1 off on the percent but absolute lowest on the flash life recovery. So I'm gonna say reroll because you wanted perfect. If all the other rolls were good, I would have probably said to keep it. Oh man, 12, 1531, 1433, 1331. Hey, all right. What about this one? You're 1 off on melee percent. Perfect total physical. Keep rolling. I know you said perfect, but I gotta check, because there's a chance we won't hit double perfect. Yeah, that's a nice one, dude. That is a nice one. 63. The estimated value by PoE trade macro on this is 63.78 to 95.67 exalted orbs. This was very lucky. I'm just gonna point. I have to say that. I gave you guys the estimate on the early stuff. Getting another Elder Influence, even with 1 bad stat. We didn't even hit the everything's useful, but we got really lucky with an Exalted Orb Slam. We hit yet another tier 1 stat, and then being able to craft the life, put it into the range that he was happy with. So what he was looking for, he wasn't looking for, every single stat is good, because if you're looking for that, then multi-modding isn't an option. The plan for this craft was to start it like this, and then try our luck with Scour Alking. And then if we wound up with, at least 4 stats, we were going to keep it if we could craft 1. So this was pretty lucky, but also he had wiggle room, because there is a stat on here that doesn't help him at all, And increased flask life recovery rate is not the most desirable, but being a tier 1, that definitely adds value to it, and definitely is not something where you're like, that stat sucks. But is it the most desirable? What is it if he was choosing something to be the most desirable on this item? What is it that he would be choosing? Let me get on the tab. We're going to perfect roll the HP. So what he really wanted was a tier 1 life, which who doesn't want tier 1 life? We got to get this perfect. There we go. Alright. I'm going to be doing a bunch of transferring of stuff back to him. This is a really good case scenario. I have to say it again because realistically, this rarely happens. Rarely happens. You are not going to wind up with a scenario like this hardly at all. Even having wiggle room, even assuming we're going for 3 stats. Was the chaos damage during Flask Effect something he originally even had mentioned that he wanted? No. But having it on there with the 2 stats he wants, it's like, it's still a good mod. Like, it's useful. He had a lot of wiggle room. That's why this winded up being something that's really good for him, because he had wiggle room. If you're like, 100%, I have to have tier 1 life with these 2 other stats, and this other stat, and this other stat, this would be a reroll, or you'd be selling it and buying a new base. So the more wiggle room you have, the more apt you are to get to wind up with something that's useful. I'm gonna give him the item back. I'll give him all of his other stuff back in a minute, but I'm sure he wants to. I'm sure that he wants to try out. I think those ones were mine. That might have been. I don't even remember. Whatever. The other thing I'd like to say is something that makes it way easier for your crafts is if you wind up taking and doing your hard to craft items first. And my example for this would be like, I've started crafting items, but what is it that I have? I got 2 items that aren't that great. And what is it that they're doing? They're basically filling in what I need. Are these super desirable? No, but I still have harder to craft items. I already have some crafted that are really hard to craft items. So anything good that I get on those when I have the stats that I want, what am I going to do? Am I going to re-roll that item and be like, I really needed lightning resistance on this, so I'm going to re-roll this belt? Of course not. You got to have an item or a couple items that you have flexibility on. They're going to be basically your cheapest items that make it so that when you're crafting something really hard to get, when you get something, you make it work in the build instead of being like, well, everything on there but one thing, and I really need that resistance. No, you got to have an item that you can be like, all right, well, I'm going to cheaply replace this to fix my resistances. Eventually, if you get all of your items to really crazy gear, that one item slot you're probably going to have to buy to get the exact stuff that you need, because realistically crafting an item slot and getting exactly what you need is next to impossible. Anyways, I hope that this was enjoyable to watch. It didn't wind up being as long as I was expecting this to. I was expecting this to be like an hour-long video, which it didn't come anywhere near that. Expectations, if you expect it's going to go this good, not realistic expectations, but I hope that the process is useful for you in your crafts. I will be back with more, and you will see in general this is not how it turns out. We wouldn't be getting this much stuff for crafting if if the result was expected to happen like that. Trust me. Anyways, thanks for watching. Peace out, guys and gals.